Do you think we should save the pledge for the actual quorum meeting, or can we start with that at this point? Okay. Please stand for the pledge. I would like to lead it, if I may.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment, please, on items that are not on the agenda. If you would care to stand, we have a microphone present for you. I'm going to take that as no comment from the public. And obviously, at the beginning of items that are for a vote, that you're certainly going to be able to speak at that time as well if you have something to say. Thank you. The minutes, we're going to skip that because there is not a quorum present. The approval of the 2015 PCC meeting is also not going to be discussed because there is not a quorum present. There is an update on section 5310. I believe Peter would be the expert on that.
Yeah, thank you. So the 5310 program is now the combined traditional 5310 program, which provided federal funding to nonprofit agencies for capital purposes. Several nonprofit agencies over the years have used those funds in Contra Costa to buy vehicles for their programs. Under MAP 21, which is the new surface transportation bill, I guess it's not new, it's a couple years old now and about to expire, the 5310 program and the new Freedom program, which I believe was 5317, were combined. The process for getting those funds is through MTC. MTC sent out a call for projects 6 to 8 weeks ago, I guess, and we held a meeting in this room probably 6 weeks ago to discuss mobility management and how best to apply for those funds as a team rather than individual agencies to help score better. So the applications were due a week and a few days ago. There were 3 applications from Contra Costa County, 2 from West County, 2 from West County. One was a collaborative application with the city, between the city of Richmond, city of El Cerrito, and city of San Pablo, along with a few nonprofits. The other one was from Contra Costa ARC, looking for vehicles that they would operate serving their West County facilities. The other application was, and those funds, those 2 applications would be competing for funds in the San Francisco, Oakland urbanized area. The other application came from Central and East County that would be looking for funding out of the Concord Antioch UZA, and it was a partnership between, I'll say, because I don't remember exactly, 8 to 10 separate agencies, and it was headed up by Senior Helpline Services, Elaine Welch. So there was no other applications from Central, East, Southwest, so that was the only application seeking funds in the Concord and Antioch urbanized areas. So there was a request that from MTC that a PCC subcommittee supply or provide comments or prioritization for the applications they received. We provided that to MTC yesterday afternoon. It needed to be there by 8 o'clock this morning because their evaluation team was beginning to look at the applications. Because we only had competition really, or 2 applications out of West County that would be competing against other applications coming from San Francisco and Oakland, we convened a small subgroup last week to review those 2 applications. That included Janet Abelson and Rita Xavier and Joanna Pollock from WICTAC. Joanna kind of got Janet and Rita together, and they talked through the applications, and then they provided those to me. I don't know, Rita or Joanna, if you want to talk about your discussion, provide any information or feelings towards your applications or the applications.
I was just going to say that because we were given 1 day, 24 hours notice. Rita and Janet met on Veterans Day. They were very diligent. 3 meetings occurred to talk about every aspect of the applications and questions raised, and then Janet Bilbas joined us just for clarification. So Janet Bilbas and I, our role was really more of facilitation, and Rita and Janet Abelson had to do the hard work. And I don't know if, Rita, you've officially been introduced to the PCC, but Rita's our new West County consumer representative from San Pablo. No? I'm out of line. Okay, I'll stick to talking about... Oh.
Yeah, the County Advisory Council on Aging.
Okay, so I'll stick to the grant. It was a big process for both the writing, collaboration. It was very helpful for the cities that put it together. I commend them. And the other one was ARC, and it was strictly for vehicles. So we had comments, or the two real reviewers had comments, and that went on to MTC. And when is that? November, December that we'll hear back from MTC?
Yeah,
Okay.
December probably.
I just want to thank Janet and Rita for all their hard work.
And then we also provided comments, although there was not, it wasn't necessary to prioritize the other application because it was the only one submitted from that funding source. We did provide some comments as well regarding that application. I believe that MTC has scheduled today and another day after Thanksgiving, if necessary, to review the applications. I'm sorry, it's not after Thanksgiving. It's either the end of this week or early next week. So I expect by either the end of November or early December, they will have those applications scored and hopefully a draft program of projects to move those items forward. So I'd be happy to answer any questions on that. Janet, Vicki, do you have any comments about your application? Want to talk about it at all?
I'll just say really quickly that West County was just, well, City of Richmond, El Cerrito, and San Pablo were just happy to get together and be able to collaborate on something.
Yeah, there was definitely collaboration that occurred. The 3 cities, as well as a couple nonprofits, were involved and had discussions about items that they were looking for. I will mention, since you're too shy to, that they applied. The City of Richmond applied basically for 3 elements. One would be a travel training program and kind of an ambassador, travel ambassador person that would be available at the Art Transit Center. A volunteer driver program that would most likely be contracted out to a nonprofit agency that wanted to do that, and possibly a new route that would serve a fixed route type shuttle that would serve the purpose of getting folks to medical appointments in Martinez at the VA and the county hospital and other facilities, primarily because of the elimination of services at the doctor's hospital in San Pablo, with the idea that we don't know what the future of that hospital even is, but we do know right now that services are being eliminated there as they're downsizing that facility. So people are more and more needing to get to facilities in Martinez. Did I describe that accurately? So hopefully all of our 3 applications will be funded, and we'll move forward from there.
Thanks, Peter. Very interesting, and welcome. Let's see, item number 7, which we can get information on, has to do with the CCTA Conflict of Interest Code revision. I presume, Peter, you're going to be informing us as to how that works, et cetera.
Yeah, I'll handle this one. So this is something that quite frankly, is going to be a really big job for the authority. Our legal counsel has, in reviewing our administrative code, which we need to do every couple years, our legal counsel, which is new, has made the determination that committees that advise the authority on matters of the authority, committee members should be providing what's called the Form 700, which Tom can probably explain better than I can exactly what that is, but it would show if any of the individuals on any of the committees have a conflict of interest based on maybe having assets or something that might sway their decision. Is that a fairly correct statement? Right. There. Yeah. So if and really in the one situation that occurs for the PCC is in advising the authority on the Measure J funds that go to the paratransit operators. The PCC makes a direct recommendation to the authority to fund those programs based on the claims that we receive. So there is a situation there that would occur. I think a lot of people on this committee probably already fill out that for their respective agencies that they work for. If you're a board member on another board or a high staff person within an agency, you probably have to already fill that out. Once the authority makes the decision to, in fact, make that revision to our code, we'll probably dedicate the better part of a meeting on explaining to everybody what they need to do in order to fill that out properly. And then that's kept here in our office, and if there's ever a request, a public request for that, we would provide that information. It's something that the state requires in order to just make sure there's no decisions, conflict of interest issues as you make decisions that would then get forwarded to our authority. So it's a significant project in the fact that we have 28 members on our Citizens Advisory Committee that would have to adhere to this. We have 20-something members on our Technical Advisory Committee that would have to adhere to this, and then we have all of you as well. So, there's a large number of folks that will need to do this. We also continue to need to be in compliance with AB 1234, I think it is, and that is basically an educational program that explains to everybody or shows you what issues pertain when it comes to conflicts and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. I think with some new members on here, it's probably time we do that again, and I'm going to ask Irene. Denise normally handles that in our office. I'm going to have Irene talk to Denise and find out which one of you probably need to do that training, and then we would take care of that as a PCC meeting as well, so it doesn't eat into your personal time. Yes, sir.
I would have a question about, I already have one filed with Tri-Delta because I'm on the board as an alternate, but I would have to refile for this agency.
I believe all we would need to do is get a copy, and
okay.
we need to have a file. We need to have that on file here.
Right.
So, but I believe, I could talk to our attorney. I believe all we need is a copy of that to keep here. If not, there's some way to handle it that's
And
pretty
you'd let
simple.
us know when it needs to be
And we'll
filed.
let you know, right. And then as far as the AB 1234, again, once you've gone through that process, you get a certificate, and all we would need to have is a copy of that certificate to keep on file here.
Thank you. Number 8, Service Review Advisory Committee. I apologize being new and suddenly thrust into this seat. Who would be giving that? I certainly would know.
Normally that would be Janet.
Okay, so she's not here.
But she's not here, so we can.
How about the BAPAC report?
That would, that was something that was brought to us by Sam, and he's no longer on the PCC.
Oh.
Is anybody here? Do any of you guys go to that? Okay. So we might take that. If we don't have anybody to give a report on that, we'll probably just take it off.
Okay.
You guys don't go? Okay.
Senior Mobility Action Council report?
That would be me.
What do you do?
I see Mary Bruns is in the audience. She's also from that committee. One of the things that Mary worked very hard on is we just started doing a quarterly newsletter. I only have one copy, but I just brought it to show you, about the Senior Mobility Action Council. Michael Prolitsky is compiling information from the various members for a Way to Go Contra Costa update on the paratransit services that are provided by the various jurisdictions in the county. Those are the two main things. I've only attended like 2 meetings, I believe, and there's one next week. I don't know if Mary would want to add anything.
The Senior Mobility Action Council meets once a month for the purposes of developing advocacy on behalf of senior transportation and senior issues. So we talked about how to communicate better with the public and at public meetings. And so we're in the process of developing a communication strategy. And at our next meeting, we are having a consultant come in and guide us through a process that will help us develop that communication strategy so that we are increasingly effective in representing our programs at city council meetings, meetings like this, the Board of Supervisors meetings, so that the needs of seniors and the disabled community are better represented and get the resources they need. So we thought about the newsletter as a way to start educating the public more. And so the newsletter will be on all things having to do with seniors and senior transportation, anything that might be of interest to that group. And so we're going to attempt to put that newsletter out quarterly. We are also updating, as you said, the Way to Go Contra Costa, which covers the transportation resources in Contra Costa for seniors and the disabled. So the goal, since we operate under the umbrella of the Advisory Council on Aging in Contra Costa, we will have a page on their website where we can post these documents. But also, when the mobility center, the Mobility Transportation Center gets operational, they may also have a website in which we can post these documents. So the goal is to inform the users of these services and the providers of these services to provide more information and help everybody be better educated.
Thank you, Mary.
Mr. Chairman, I should take the opportunity. I didn't do this earlier, and I should have. So Rita Xavier actually applied to be on the PCC as a consumer representative from West County. So Joanna was right on track, but she's also on the Advisory Council on Aging. So we did a little flip-flop and went through the Advisory Council on Aging track with her. So it helped her kind of get onto the PCC quicker that way. And we were looking for a representative from that agency anyway. So
the next item would be, well, welcome again. So that's the second time I get to welcome you, Rita. So now that we know who you really are and where you are. Funding opportunities, I think, would be next.
yeah, so we do have one funding opportunity. This is mainly for our public transit operators in the room, of which there are two. Their MTC recently released a call for projects for their fourth cycle of the Lifeline Transportation Program. The reason I say it's for the transit operators is that the funding sources that they have cobbled together to to support that program are JARC, Job Access Reverse Commute, which is now part of the federal Section 5307 program, which is formula funding, and you have to be a federal FTA recipient. You basically have to be a transit operator that's agreed to all this stuff to be able to get those funds. Although there is opportunity for nonprofits and other agencies to receive those funds, but they have to partner with one of the transit operators that can be the recipient of those funds in order to do it. And also state transit assistance funds, which can only go to the fixed route operators. So CCTA is the administrator of that program in Contra Costa County. It's an MTC program, but it's administered by each of the 9 counties by the congestion management agencies, which is what CCTA is. So I will be getting a hold of our transit operators, all 5 of them, to see about the Lifeline Transportation Program and how we can use those funds.
Peter, isn't there a third funding source? Wasn't STP or something they're using as well? There was JARC, STA, and okay, it's all right.
There is. I think you're right. There has been in the
1B?
past. Yes.
Okay.
Prop 1B, PTSMI, whatever it is, which is Proposition 1B, which, what was that? It was that 4 years now, 5 years ago, the state of California passed Prop 1B for transportation projects, public transit. Some of that goes to public transit for capital projects. That particular funding source is actually administered like last cycle through MTC. So as the CMA, we don't do a call on that. All we do is give a letter of conference to MTC that we agree with the projects within our county. So that you guys would do through MTC directly.
Thank you, Peter. Future agenda items would be the last thing, I guess, that we can, well, no, we have news to share as well. So future agenda items, anything interesting? You mentioned something about the Form 700 and the AB requirements. So
that'll be coming up. The schedule as I know it for the Form 700 is once the authority approves the revision to the administrative code, it goes to the County Board of Supervisors for their approval. We don't anticipate that to happen until January. So once that occurs, we would move forward with that. So I suspect it could be our January meeting, but I suspect it'll probably be our March meeting that we would have the attorney come and discuss that. We have a few outstanding items. One is the bylaws, that we need to get that subcommittee back together and finalize that. And then we have some outreach for some potential new members that we need to take care of as well. And I will talk to Janet as chair to get those committees together and kind of move those items forward. We'll also keep you up to date on the 5310 program. We should know at our January meeting about that. We don't have, we weren't able to approve without a quorum today the calendar, but we will, as we always have, meet on the 4th Monday in January. The 3rd Monday when we normally meet is Martin Luther King Day, so the offices are closed, so we'll be meeting on the 4th Monday.
Thank you. News to share, and we don't adjourn a meeting that hasn't been called, but does anybody want to say anything about what they've been up to over the last 2 months? I do. I took a group from the Antioch Senior Center to the El Cerrito Plaza Shopping Center. And we did this with Tri-Delta everybody had to get from where they live, like in Oakley. There were some people that took a bus and then others that took buses from Antioch. And BART provided the fare. They're doing this to promote BART with seniors. And they want people to use BART during the middle of the day. And so they advertised this thing, so I called up and they said, yeah, so 5 of us met at the Pittsburgh Bay Point station. They loaded on our Clipper cards, because we had to have a Clipper card in order to go on the trip, the senior fare to El Cerrito Plaza, and then we went shopping there. And it's not a location that you would ordinarily think, but it's a fantastic little shopping center. It's got some really nice stores, and I can assure you that we all came back with something from somewhere. Bed Bath & Beyond, a couple of the ladies went to Ross and those places. It was really cool. And it's right next to the El Cerrito Plaza BART station. So it turned out to be a really, really nice trip. And then they bought us lunch. So they got lunch at Subway. So that worked out real nice. So that's what I did related to this, but maybe not related to PCC, but BART's covered and El Cerrito's right over here. So.
I have something, I guess, more of a question. In reading, it's been a couple years now, we should probably do it again, but matter of fact, maybe in January is a good time, as starting in January, is we've had all of the operators come in and do a 10-minute presentation on their service and what they do. And I think that's always helpful for people to see what changes are being made, what issues are out there kind of for the operators. But also in reading the 5310 applications, we have a lot of nonprofits in the county that are doing really amazing things, and I think it would be interesting for all of us if we brought one in occasionally and they gave us kind of an overview of what they're doing. Contra Costa ARC comes to mind. They share their vehicles. They're doing a lot of mobility management type things. They have a ARC University that helps educate different groups on how to work with people with developmental disabilities and so on. And it's very interesting, as well as Center for Independent Living in West County, which I know you guys talked to as part of your application, does a lot of travel training. And I think it would just be interesting for us to hear what these different agencies are doing, and maybe we can, as operators, and part of this whole mobility management thing, start to think about how we can work together to help them with their programs, as well as how they can help us learn a little bit more about the best way to operate our programs. Does that sound like something that would be interesting? Okay, I'll start lining some up.
When a meeting has not been called, it doesn't get adjourned. I believe that's procedure. So we just kind of fade into the mist, or do we just wait around for a few minutes until, because there might be a 8th person. You were saying they had signed up to be here, but.
Yeah, I think at this point it's probably unlikely. They'd be 45 minutes late. So
okay.
I appreciate you all coming. I apologize again for not having the quorum we expected to as of this morning when we got into the office. So a couple things have happened today. So we will see you all in January on the 26th at 2 p.m.
Thank you, folks.